Welcome to the session today. Hope you all can hear me. Can you guys confirm once? Are you guys able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay, great. So let us start the session, guys. So if you remember, in our previous sessions, we have seen the data processing systems such as the data proc as well as data flow. And today we are going to start with one more interesting service, that is Composer. You can also call it as the airflow or Composer you can call. So let us try to understand what is airflow, what is Composer, and with the help of the airflow, what we can do. So let us try to understand today. Okay, sir, Composer is one of the fully managed workflow orchestration service. It's a fully managed workflow orchestration service. So when I say orchestration service, if you have a plenty of workflows, if you wanted to orchestrate them, then you can use Composer, and it is a fully managed service. Okay, when it is a fully managed service, you don't need to worry about creating any infrastructure. But in the Airflow or Composer, if you wanted to use, we need to create the environment. Okay, sir, it is a fully managed service and it is a workflow orchestration service. Sir, Composer is based on the Apache Airflow. Apache Airflow is an open source platform designed for creating the pipelines, scheduling the pipelines, managing the pipelines, monitoring the complex workflows. So that is the reason it is called as a managed airflow service, also called as a managed airflow service. So if you can see here, Composer is a fully managed workflow orchestration service. Why it is called workflow orchestration service? It's because with the help of the airflow or a Composer, you can create the workflow. We can schedule the workflows. We can manage the workflows. We can monitor the complex workflows also. So that is the reason instead of calling all of these things, they usually call it as an orchestration service. So with the help of the workflow orchestration service, you can create a pipeline, schedule a pipeline, manage a pipeline, monitor the pipelines also. Okay, so that is the reason, because the Composer is based on the Apache Airflow. So Composer is also called as a managed airflow service. Managed airflow service is that in on-premises, if you go for Apache Airflow, you need to take care of all the infrastructure. But in the Composer, so Composer is something like a fully managed Apache Airflow service you can think of. It's a fully managed Apache Airflow service. So that is the reason here you don't need to take care of the infrastructure. Okay, so that is the reason if you wanted to work with a Composer, we don't need to create any infrastructure, but we need to create the environment. I will show you how to create the environment. But if you wanted to understand what is Composer, sir, if you wanted to create a pipeline, you can use the Composer. If you wanted to schedule the pipelines also, you can use the Composer. If you wanted to manage the pipelines also, you can use the Composer. You can monitor the pipelines also, we can use the Composer. Okay, Composer can be used for all of these four activities. Instead of calling all of these four activities, people usually call it as a workflow orchestration service. People usually call it as a workflow orchestration service. It does mean that creating, scheduling, managing, and monitoring. Okay, so that is what is the reason of workflow orchestration service. It is called. Okay, sir, what kind of a tool it is? Sir, if you wanted to work with the Composer, Composer is a coding-based tool, sir. Here we are going to use the Python to create the workflows. Sir, I wanted to create the workflow. What I have to do? You have to write the Python code. Sir, I wanted to schedule the pipelines. You have to write the Python code. You have to manage it or monitor it. Everything doing the Python only we are going to do it, sir. So that is the reason it is a coding-based tool. Okay. Composer or Airflow is one of the coding-based tools similar to your data proc and data flow. In the data proc and data flow, how we have used Python, similarly in Composer also we are going to use Python to create the pipelines or schedule the pipelines. Sir, can we use the data proc for the streaming jobs? Can you guys tell me? can we use the data proc for streaming jobs? Can anyone tell me? So we have seen data proc and data flow.
Data flow is for streaming data, and data proc is for batch proc.
So both data proc and data flow, we can use it for the streaming, guys. First thing.
Oh,
Okay. Okay. So it's not like data proc does not support the streaming. So
no,
data proc and data flow both supports the streaming. So in data proc and data flow, we can write both batch data processing. We can also do the streaming data processing as well. But in the Airflow or Composer, we can only write batch data pipelines. We cannot do the streaming. Streaming cannot be done. Okay, here we can only do the batch processing. In the data proc, we are using the Python. In data flow also, we are using the Python. In Airflow also, we can use Python. Because Airflow can only be used Python, we cannot. Because if you wanted to see data proc, you can use Python, Java, R. Here also Python, Java, R. But here Airflow only Python. You cannot use more other than Python. Only Python language you can use it here for creating the pipelines or scheduling the pipelines. Okay. So that is what this means is that here we can only create the batch pipelines. You cannot create the streaming pipelines. No streaming pipeline support for the Airflow. Okay. So that is what. Sir, here usually as per the Airflow terminology, a pipeline is called as a DAG. A workflow is called as a DAG. A workflow, or usually I will write one more point here. Workflow or DAG or pipeline, all these are same only, sir. All these nothing but a series of tasks, right? A pipeline is nothing but a series of tasks connected together. A DAG is nothing but a series of tasks only. A workflow will be having series of tasks. Workflow is nothing but a DAG. DAG is nothing but a pipeline. Pipeline is nothing but a series of tasks, guys. So these are all synonyms you can think of. As per the composer terminology, we call the pipelines as a DAG. As per the composer terminology, we are going to call it as a DAG, guys. We don't call it as a pipeline here. We usually call it as a DAG. A DAG is nothing but a directed acyclic graph. Directed acyclic graph. Okay, so there is a definition for that also. Let me gonna tell you in a bit, but try to look at it here. As per the Airflow terminology, a pipeline or a workflow is called as a DAG. A DAG is nothing but a directed acyclic graph. Okay, so that is how it is. Common use cases for the composer is that composer can be used for creating the data processing pipelines, scheduling pipelines, ETL workflows, automation of routine tasks, infrastructure automation. So all of these things can be used for Composer. If I wanted to do all of these activities like data processing pipelines, if you wanted to create it, or scheduling pipelines if you wanted to create it, or ETL workflows if you wanted to create it, or if you have some routine task you wanted to automate it, or you have an infrastructure you wanted to automate it. In all of these scenarios, we can use Composer. Okay, so Composer is a workflow orchestration service. It is fully managed. It's a fully managed workflow orchestration service. It is based on the Apache Airflow. It is an open source platform. So Apache Airflow is an open source platform, sir. Anyone can use the Apache Airflow because Apache Airflow is an open source platform for design for creating, scheduling, managing, and monitoring the workflows. Sorry. Okay. So yeah, Airflow or a Composer is a code basing tool. Here we are going to use the Python. We can only do the batch pipelines. We cannot be able to do the streaming pipelines. As per the Airflow terminology, a workflow or a pipeline is also called as a DAG. So hereafter, we are going to call it as a DAG only instead of a pipeline. A DAG is nothing but a directed acyclic graph. So in a composer, we are going to create the DAGs. Okay, for creating the pipeline. Okay, if you wanted to create a pipeline, you actually create a DAG. Okay, you call it as a create pipeline. Instead of create pipeline, you call it as a create DAG. Scheduling DAGs, managing DAGs, monitoring DAGs. So that's what you do. Okay, and the common use cases are these ones. Okay, the main important thing is that two things I wanted to tell you guys. How to create the composer environment is one thing. I wanted to tell you two things. How to create the composer environment. Composer environment. That is one question. And how to create the DAG is second question. Okay, how to create a DAG. Once created the DAG, how to submit the DAG, how to submit DAG to environment so that your pipeline DAG to environment, whenever you submit it, right, the in the environment your DAG is running. So these are the three activities. If you know, so that is where you are going to understand about the composer even more. Okay, so what is composer, sir? We already know that the composer is a workflow orchestration service. With the help of the composer, we can create the DAGs, we can schedule the DAGs, we can monitor the DAGs, we can manage the DAGs. Okay, so it is a coding based tool. Here we are going to use the Python only. Here we can only create the batch pipelines, we cannot create the streaming pipelines. So let me tell you, the very first thing is that how to create the composer environment. Then we will take one of the example to one of the use case or a scenario to how to create the DAG. I will tell you. And after that, we will submit whatever the DAG that we have created to the composer environment, so that the DAG will be running in the composer environment. We will also monitor it. Okay, so these three things we will see it, sir, now. Okay, first thing, I will go to the Google Cloud Platform and I will try to create a DAG. Sir, if you wanted to create a DAG, this is how the environment looks like. Okay, so if you wanted to come to, so if you wanted to go to the composer, you search with composer. You can see here manage workflow orchestration service, composer. Click on the composer here. Click on create environment. So there are two types of composer. Composer one, it is going to be end of support. It will be removed, guys, in few more days or few more months. The composer one will be removed, and you will be having only composer two, which is auto scaled airflow version 2. Click on the composer 2 if you wanted to create an environment. So you can say here, you can provide an environment name. I'm going to provide the environment name as demo environment. You can select a proper location. I'm going with US Central one. Image version, you have a multiple versions are there here. So Composer 2.7, Airflow 2.6. So these are the two versions that you have. You can select any of the version. The service account, it is going to be using the service account. This one, if you wanted to create a new service account also, you can create it, or you can use the existing service account and grant the permissions. Click on here and click on grant here. Okay, I'm going to use this service account. Click on grant here. So we need to grant it. Once the grant is done, so here as per the composer environment resources, so here we have small, medium, large, and custom. So you can select the resources accordingly. So the scheduler, triggerer, web server, and all of these things. So let me gonna tell you the composer architecture first. Then you can understand what is the scheduler and all of these things. Okay, in a 5 minutes, let me gonna explain you the composer architecture, guys. So very simple architecture it is. Hope you all can see my screen. So as per the composer architecture, it has total four main components are there, guys. Four or five, I would say. Five main components are there. The very first component is DAG folder. Second one is scheduler. Third one is executor. Fourth one is web server. Fifth one is metadata database. Total five main components are there in the Airflow architecture. One is DAG folder. A DAG folder is something that where we keep the DAGs. A DAG folder is something where we upload the DAGs. DAG is nothing but a pipeline. You create a pipeline code and you upload the pipeline code here. So you as a person using the pipeline, using the Python, you are going to create a DAG, and that DAG you are going to upload it to the DAG folder. What is a DAG folder, sir? A DAG folder is where you are going to upload the DAGs, so that those DAG folders are the ones which is having all the DAGs one by one. And you have a second component, scheduler. The scheduler is always connected to the DAG folder, and it will keep an eye on the DAG folder. It will always scan the DAG folder. So whenever a new DAG come into the picture, scheduler will scan it. So each DAG will be scheduled to run at some point of time. You might have mentioned some scheduled time also. Each DAG will be scheduled to run at some point of time. Maybe this is at 1 a.m. if it wanted to run, or maybe at 2 a.m. So each DAG is going to be scheduled to run at some point of time. So what the scheduler will do is that it will scan the DAG folder, and it will submit the each DAG to the executor for the execution purpose. Okay, so this is what the scheduler will do. Scheduler will extract the DAGs from the DAG folder, and it will be submitting it to the executor for the execution purpose. So what is the executor will do? Executor is the one will be processing all the entire DAG. So each DAG will be having the task. So all of those tasks will be running in the executor only. So executor is the one where the actual execution is going to be taking place for each DAG. Okay, scheduler will keep the DAGs as per the scheduled time and picking up them and picking up them and submitting it to the executor for the execution purpose. So that is what is the scheduler will do and executor will do. And once the executor is doing some kind of execution process, if you wanted to see some kind of a process, for example, my DAG is having like 4 tasks, 3 tasks, task 1, task 2, task 3. Sir, I wanted to see the status of my each DAG, whether it is successful, the task 1 is failed, why it is failed. All of those details, if you wanted to see the task status and DAG status, if you wanted to see whether it is running or not, whether the each task is running or not, if any of the task is failed, if you wanted to see the status of the task 3 and why it is failed, what is the reason of failing, if you wanted to see all of those details, you can go to the web server. Web server is like a UI tool. It's like a UI. So when you click on the web server, an entire next tab will open. There you will be able to see the status of each DAG. Each DAG will be listed out here, and you will be able to click on each DAG, and you can able to see the status of each task inside that DAG. So that is what the web server will do. And finally, we have a metadata database. That is our final component. The name itself, it is saying that metadata database. So it is a database storing the activity of scheduler, executor, and web server. Okay, so metadata database will store all the tracking details about the scheduler, executor, what they are doing, why they are doing, when they are doing, how they are doing. All these details will be stored in the metadata database. So that is how all the metadata details will be stored in the metadata database. For later point of time, if you wanted to see it for the audit purpose, or if you wanted to check the logs, you can able to go to the metadata database and check it. Okay, so this is how usually the Airflow architecture will be there. So you as a person using the Python, you are going to create a DAG. Those DAGs you are going to submit it to the DAG folder. Once you upload it to the DAG folder, scheduler will scan the DAG, and it will picking up them and submitting it to the executor for the execution purpose. And if you wanted to see the execution status, you can go to the web server for detailed execution status and why it is failed, why it is successful, all of those details here. And metadata database to keep the track of all of these activities, what they are doing, how they are doing, and when they are doing. All of those details will be stored here in the metadata database. So this is how the Airflow architecture will be. Okay, here we have DAG folder, scheduler, executor, web server, and metadata database. Okay, do we have any question here, guys? Do we have any question?
So per file we will create separate scheduler, or one scheduler can
It's your wish. So
support.
that's what. So, sir, I might ask my dad, sir, I have a very huge number of dads are there. I wanted to go for the one scheduler today, but no. A later point of time, I see that I wanted to go for two schedulers. You can go for the medium environment or large environment with two. And if you wanted to customize the environment, also you can mention it. 2 or 5 or 10 also you can go for schedulers. So as per your requirement, you can change it. For now, we are going with the one scheduler, one triggerer, and one web server. With this web server, all the time web server will be only one. But the thing is that the configuration you can able to change it. For now, I am going with these things only. Okay, one scheduler will be there, and the executor, nothing but a workers. In the each worker node, you will be having the executors which will be very useful for the execution purpose. And in this small environment, you will be having maximum 1 2 3. That means maximum three worker nodes will be there. As per the requirement, it is going to be using those pool. Okay, so first it will start using the one. If it is not enough, it will assign one more worker, that is two, and maximum it can go for three workers. And the worker configuration is also here. If you wanted to change any of the configuration, you can go to the custom and you can change it. Sir, I want one worker, and the CPU storage I wanted to make it one. This is also one. 2 GB, 1.78. So anything, if you wanted to change it, it's your wish. You can come here and change it. Okay, so that is how it is. So for now, I'm going with these are the predefined environments. This is a custom environment. Okay, once you have provided those environment, you can just click on create. The environment will be created. Okay, so you provide the name, location, the image version, and select the proper service account also. Once you have selected all of those environment details, the basic details, then provide the environment details such as how many schedulers you need, how many triggers you need, what is the web server configuration, what is the worker configuration. Provide the configuration details here. Just click on create. Automatically, the entire Airflow environment will be created at the backend. Okay, entire Airflow environment will be created at the backend. So that is what will happen at the backend. So here I have already created it. It takes at least 20 plus minutes, guys. I'm telling you, it takes at least 20 plus minutes. So that is the reason I have already created the environment. I have created it, not here, sorry. I have created it at 6:33. It was created at 6:52, just now, like maybe 5 minutes back. So almost you can see here, almost it took 20 plus minutes. Okay, so that is how, if you wanted to create an environment, it takes at least 20 minutes, guys. Make sure whenever you are creating, you wait for 20 minutes. Okay, so that is the reason I have already created it. You guys look at it here. This is my environment name, the location of my environment, the composer version and airflow version, created at this time, updated at this time. I told you airflow web server will be the next. So when you wanted to see the web server, you click on it here. So the entire new tab will open for the Airflow web server. What is a web server, guys? Can you guys tell me what is a web server?
It's a
It's a GUI
business logic.
screen where we can see the process of
Correct. So it's like
execution.
a user interface tool where you wanted to see the status of each DAG, which task is running, which DAG is running, all of those details if you wanted to see it. So Airflow has given one of the DAG for sampling purpose. Okay, so they have given, so Airflow has given one of the DAG for sampling purpose. So this is one the DAG. You can see here it is a DAG. So how many DAGs we have? Only one DAG, which was given for the sampling purpose. The owner of this one is Airflow only. You can click on this DAG. So this DAG was scheduled to run at every 10 minutes. So here it is, guys. So this is how it runs. Okay, so here you will be able to see the runs. Okay, so here we have only one task. Echo is the only one task. So it ran at 10 minutes before, and it ran just now again 10 minutes. So every 10 minutes, this particular DAG is going to run. When this DAG is running, all the tasks inside the DAG is also going to run. Okay, so we have only one task is there, that is echo. Okay, this is how the interface for the DAG looks like, guys. I'm telling you, look at here. It's a very, very easy interface, but people are unable to understand it. So if you wanted to see the number of tasks, this is how the task. So there are 3 views if you wanted to see your task. One is grid view, one more is graph view.
Sir, where do we create that Python script, sir?
I will show you. Okay,
Yeah.
we will create it, yes. So this is a graph view. So here you will be able to see the again. Sorry, not this one is not the graph view. Here it is the graph view, guys. Okay, they made it like this. Earlier, the entire window will open for the graph only. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so this is how the graph view looks like, guys. So in the graph, you will be able to see the task. So you have only one task, and it was successful sometime. And one more thing is that you can use calendar view also. So there are 3 views: grid view, graph view, and calendar view. A calendar view shows for each date how many times it has successfully, how many times it has failed, it will show. Okay, so on the Thursday, this particular particular DAG was successful 2 times. You can see here. Okay, so that is how it is. And this is how you have a grid view, graph view, and calendar view. Most of the times we will be using the grid view only. Okay, so you can see here green color coding is there. The color coding descriptions also here. The dark green color means successful here. Hope you can see here. And when it is red color, that means it is failed. Hash color means queued, skipped. All of these details are here. Up for retry, upstream failed. All of these details are here. Whenever you see a different color, that means it was failed, or it was up for retry, or it was skipping, or it was restarting. So all of those details are here. If you wanted to see the color coding, you can able to see it here. Okay, so that is how. For now, it is a dark green color. It got successful both the times. Okay, sir. Now I wanted to see the code for this particular DAG. Sir, this is a DAG from the Airflow. Sir, I wanted to see the DAG of the particular code. Sorry, I wanted to see the code of this particular DAG. So you can click on code here. You have the code option here, right? You can click on this code option here. Okay, so this is how here you have the code, sir. You will be able to see the code. So this is the code. So you can see here in the code, you have imported all the options. You have defined the DAG. There is only one task is there. I told you, right? So only one task. The task name is echo. You can see here echo. So that is how we will be creating one sample DAG, and you will also be able to see this one. Okay. So this is how a simple DAG looks like, guys. Okay. So this is how the interface for the web server looks like.
One question, Rahul.
Yes, please.
So let's say I have one scheduled job. Okay, I have created that in this DAG. Okay, it comes at every 1 hour. Okay, let's say in case of any failure. Okay, uh, do we have any mechanism to send that alert to that our configured emails
Correct.
here?
Yes. So in the Airflow, you have a Airflow email trigger alert is there. So whenever you wanted to trigger a email, if something is failed, so that is
Okay.
built into the Airflow already. So you can actually search with email trigger. That is built in. Most of the people will be using. Even when I was working, also I have used that one. So email
Okay.
trigger in Airflow. So that is one just snippet of the code you can add. So email notification. So you can do the email configuration. So here it is. You just have to mention the backend. So you can use this one so that you can mention the email details and to whom you wanted to send. Just mention it, these details. That's it. Automatically, it will send the email. Okay.
So will it? I mean, do we need to give any permission? Let's say this is a separate server,
For
right?
sure.
But our
Yes.
emails are in our
Correct. So
company
when you are
LAN
working
server.
with an Outlook or when you are working with all of those things, for sure, whatever the because those are the premium accounts that you guys are using. For
Yes.
those premium accounts, you need to have a proper access to that. Otherwise, you
Okay.
cannot be able to send it. You need to properly provide the credentials, admin credentials, and
Okay.
you need to allow the access. Then only you can able to send the emails. So that is what is something that is very important. But what happens is that, so in the company, Airflow, when you are using, that means you have Google Cloud account. That Google
Yes.
Cloud account you are using, that means it is a already created with all the configuration with the Outlook. You,
Okay.
that's nothing but an email account. So
Mm.
if you are using the same email, you will be able to get the alert to you only. By default, to you will get it. Okay. But if
Yeah.
you wanted to send it to some people, in that case, you need to create a list of those people and create that as a template, and then you can send it to those people as well. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So that is possible, yes. And
Sir,
this is
one
yeah.
couple of questions, sir. So we have a composer data flow, right? So if I create a task in data flow, can I use the same task in the composer to schedule it?
Of course, that's what I'm going to tell. Yes.
Okay.
So what happens here, that the use cases, let us try to understand. So the use cases is that, sir. Sir, using the Airflow or Composer, whatever it is. Sir, I'm calling Airflow or Composer, both are same. Sometimes I call it as Airflow or Composer. Both are same, okay? So using the Composer or Airflow, you can create the pipelines. First thing. Sir, I have a pipelines. I wanted to create a pipelines. Nothing but data processing pipelines. I wanted to create it. Can I create it, sir? Yes, you can do that. Okay. The next thing is that, sir, I have a Airflow as a scheduler here now. So here Airflow as a creator. Now Airflow as a scheduler. Sir, I have a data proc jobs. Sir, I have a data flow jobs. So can I schedule them? Yes, you can schedule it, because data proc jobs and data flow jobs we have manually submitted. Using the scheduler, you can schedule it to run these jobs at some point of time, maybe at 7 a.m. every day. Okay, so that these jobs are going to be running at 7 a.m. every day. Okay, you can schedule these jobs, all of these jobs, airflow jobs, data flow jobs, not only these things. If you have some Python notebook, sir, I have a Python file. If you wanted to schedule it also, you can schedule it. So anything can be scheduled with the help of the Airflow. Okay, for scheduling everything, you need to find the operator. Okay, for scheduling or working with those different services, integrating with the different services, we need to find the operator. Operator is the one which defines the task, what we are doing here. Okay, so that is how I will tell you. Don't worry about that as well. And similarly, creator and scheduler, and whatever you are doing, you can monitor in the web server. So whatever you are doing, sir, I am doing all of these tasks. You can monitor in the Airflow web server whether they are running it properly or not. If it is failed, what is the error? Okay, if it is error, you will be able to find. Again, you go to your Python code. You again fix the code and you again submit it. Again, it is going to be running. Okay, so this is how Airflow as a creator. Airflow as a creator, you can create its own data processing pipelines. Airflow as a scheduler. So someone has, I mean, some data processing system I'm using, and there I wanted to run the pipelines. If you wanted to run it a scheduled fashion, you can do that as a Airflow as a scheduler. So data flow jobs or data prompt jobs or a Python jobs, if you wanted to run, you can use the Airflow as a scheduler. Again, for those things, whatever you wanted to do, for every task, there will be a operator, guys. We need to find the operator for that. I will show you. And if you wanted to monitor all of these activities, Airflow as a monitor, you can use the web server UI to see the errors or if it is running properly or not, and all of those things you can able to see it here. Okay, so this is how Airflow works. Is it clear, guys?
Sir, one more question, sir. So since this Apache is a separate company, it's not tied to Google Airflow, can we use this? Can we deploy this in multi-cloud?
You can deploy it, of course. You can do that. So it's already available. Right? It's already available in the AWS also.
Yeah.
Managed Airflow service. They call it as a managed Airflow, MEAW. Managed, sorry, managed workflow service or MWS or MEAW. I'm not sure. Managed Airflow service. I think MEAS. So that is called as AWS. In AWS, they call it as a MEAS, Managed Airflow Service, I believe. Okay, so you can go there. Okay, that's already available in the multiple clouds. The airflow is already available in the multiple. If something was outsourced and it is commonly used by plenty of the people, all of these cloud platforms, it's directly use the source code and they deploy it on their own cloud, and that is they mention it as a fully managed. So that's how the airflow is available now. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
So
Now, sir, I
this
wanted to create a code. Sorry.
will be charged for this airflow service also, right?
For
I mean,
whatever the service you are using, it's not free. Okay.
okay, so every
Whatever
service will have some.
every service, whatever you are doing. So Airflow is of open source. That's a framework is of open sourced. But the thing is that for your environment, you might have given the cluster details. This is a scheduler details. This is my worker details. So whatever the configuration or resources that you are using, those resources are costly. You have to pay the money for that. Okay.
Sir, follow-up question, sir. So when you use data flow versus Composer, I think Composer will charge the less money, right? Because it's all hidden to user when running.
It's not like that. It's not. I mean, I'm not totally sure about the cost, whether it is higher, whether it is less, but it totally depends on the time that you are using. Okay, the amount of time and the number of resources that you are using. Okay.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Now, so let us try to create a small job. Okay, so I'm going to so that you guys can see it out. So now I will be locally creating my Python job. So nothing but it's a Python code tool, right? 1 minute, guys. So we are going to create a small DAG here. Those DAG we are going to submit it to here. Sir, as I told you already, so where we have to keep the DAGs? Where we have to keep the DAGs, guys? We have to keep the DAGs in the DAG folder. You can see here we have also the DAG folder is also available. So DAG folder, if you right click on it and open it here, so this is where you have to keep the DAGs so that those DAGs will be scanned and shown up. It will be show up here. Okay. So whatever the DAG you are seeing, that means it is there in the DAG folder only. So when I open the DAG folder, it is already available here. So DAG folder is nothing but one of the Python file, right? So I am going to create one of the Python file and I upload it here so that the scheduler will scan it. And if it is valid DAG, it is going to be showing up here so that you can able to run it manually. Okay. So let us try to create that one of the DAG. Simple DAG, let us try to create it. So for creating it, I am going to the local machine, click on file, click on new file. I wanted to create it as a dag1.py. I wanted to just create it as, just wanted to give a proper name, dag1.py. Okay. So now I'm going to mention it on the desktop, click on create file. So this is how it is, guys. So any DAG, if you wanted to create it, there are 4 steps. One is import modules. Second step is define the DAG. Third step is define the task. Fourth step is define the dependency. Okay, so these are the 4 steps will be there whenever you wanted to create a DAG, guys. So let me gonna tell you, let us try to create a DAG. So first thing, whenever you wanted to create a DAG, these are the 4 steps that we need to follow. These things are not opening, I don't know why. Okay, 1 minute, guys. Yeah, whenever you wanted to define a DAG, so first 4 steps we need to follow. One is importing the modules, defining the DAG, okay, and defining the task and define the dependency. So these are the 4 things that we are going to do it all the time. So let me gonna tell you first. So if you wanted to use any DAG, first importing the modules, right? So we need to import the Airflow and we need to import the DAG for sure. For sure, if you wanted to import the Airflow, for sure we need to import the Airflow, and from the Airflow we need to import the DAG. These are the 2 things must. And the next thing is that we need to define the DAG. We will see if any of the modules are required, we will add it later. So if you wanted to define the DAG, each DAG definition will have all of these details. Such as with the DAG, you mentioned the level 1 DAG composer. Your DAG DAG name will become this one only, level 1 DAG composer. And you have to mention your scheduling information. Scheduling information will follow the cron job format. So 5 stars will be there. Each star will defining the, we can also go here. Each DAG will define the a numerical number only. First star will define the minutes, second star hour, third star day, fourth star month. So 5 stars will be there. If you wanted to provide the scheduling information, we have to follow this DAG. So if I wanted to run at 5:30 every day, so you can mention here 5:30. So 30 means minutes, 5 means hours. So every day, every month means these are the stars. Every means a star. And if you have any kind of a default arguments, you can create it as a default arguments. I am going to create those default arguments here. I'm mentioning those default arguments here, guys. So owner information, you can mention owner as a developer. Start date, when this pipeline has to, when this DAG has to start, or it has to start from, 1 minute, I forgot the date time. The date time. So we import the date time also first. So I wanted to import the date time. We are using the date time, right? So I will import the date time also. Date time. So it will be having year, month, day. So we have to mention the year, guys. 2024. Month is 4. Date is 25. So this is how the start. It is starting from today. Retry. If it is failed, you wanted to retry it or not. One time I wanted to retry, you will mention. So when it is wanted to retry, after 5 minutes I wanted to retry, or after 2 minutes you wanted to retry. You can mention these details. Okay. So while you are defining the DAG, you mention the DAG ID. This is your DAG ID. This is your scheduling information, and this is your owner details, start date, retry information, and retry delay. Okay, so this is what you can mention all of these details. So this is how the DAG will be defined, guys. Once the DAG is defined, so you can see here, guys, it has to be started from here as per the syntax. Here also you need to start it from here. Okay, I'm going to start it from here. Okay, now what I wanted to do, sir, I wanted to move the job. Sorry, I wanted to load the job from the GCS to the BigQuery. I have a CSV file. I wanted to move the data from the CSV file to the BigQuery. So that is what is my task. The task is that I have only one task now. Task 1, I am going to create it. The task 1, I wanted to move the data from the GCS to the BigQuery. So this is for this one, we need to find the operator. For every task which we wanted to do it, we need to create the operator. So let me going to show you how to create the, we don't need to create the operator, we need to find the operator. 1 minute, guys, please. Fine. Listen. Sorry. So for defining the task, we need to find the operator. Operator is the one which defines the task. So I will go here. So I will find, I wanted to move the data from the GCS to BigQuery. And you wanted to find the airflow operator. So you can search with that one. So GCS to the airflow operator, if you find it, you can able to see here this one. When you click on this one, you'll be able to see the operator like this. So whatever the operator that you wanted to find it, you can able to find it in the public documentation. You can see here, it loads the data from the Google Cloud Storage to the BigQuery. I'm going to use the same thing. So you'll be have here for more information of how to use this operator. Take a look at the guide. So I'm going to right click on it, open in the new tab, and it is already there. I'm going to copy this entire thing. See here, load CSV, GCS to BigQuery operator, task ID we have to mention, bucket, what is the bucket details, object details, destination, schema, right disposition. So I'm going to copy this entire thing. I'm going to put it in my notes. Okay. So this is how the syntax is not perfect as per the syntax. Oh yeah, this is how the syntax will be. Look at here, guys. So load CSV, I am going to use the GCS to BigQuery operator. If you are using some operator, you need to import it. So I'm going to import it here. Look at here. GCS to BigQuery operator, I'm copying it. I'm going to paste it here. Okay, so this is how you need to import the operator first. And now you are using the operator, the task ID. You wanted to move the data from the GCS to BigQuery example. Task ID, you can say task 1. task 1. And bucket name. So where is your file? Sir, my file is there in the Google Cloud Storage. We will take any of the file. Okay, so we will take any of the file. So I'll go to the one of the bucket. So let me take employee.txt. So let me take this one, sir. That is employee.csv. I need the employee.csv. Let me 1 minute, guys. Let me upload it one of the file here. Yeah, I'm gonna upload here one of the file that is employee.csv. So here you can see here, guys, we have a one of the file that is employee.csv. So you can copy this path. So what is the bucket details? So you don't need to copy it. You can copy the bucket name and you can go to your code and just mention your bucket name and just mention your file name also. My file name is employee.csv, right? You can mention employee.csv. That's it. So you need to mention the file name. This is your file name. You can copy or you can paste it here directly like this. Okay, so that particular source file is there in this particular bucket and the file name of that particular source object is this one. And where do you want it to send it to? So these are the two variables. Let us try to create it. Sir, I wanted to mention one variable, that is dataset name and table name. You wanted to load it to the BigQuery, right? Sir, I wanted to mention the dataset name. Let me go to the BigQuery also. Let me go to the BigQuery also. I wanted to know the dataset name and table name. So I wanted to move it to this inside dataset. The dataset name is this one. Copy this one, come here and paste here the dataset name. And table name, your wish, right? So the table name I wanted to it as employee table. The table name I have mentioned it as the employee table. So here we have a destination dataset and table. You can mention here these details, dataset name and table name. The schema for that one. So you have to follow the proper schema. Let me open this file. So this is the file, guys. So employee ID is there, first name, last name, email, department ID, salary, joining date. All of these columns are there. We need to create a schema like this only. So as per this one, so name is equal to employee, first column name, that is employee ID, second column name, first name, third column name, last name. So such that we have to create the schema, guys. So I have already created the schema. Let me gonna upload it here. The schema creation is very easy. Let me gonna show you now. So this is how it is, guys. So as per your this one, you can see here we have a employee ID, first name, last name, email, department, salary, and joining date. So all of these details are here. And as per that, you need to provide the data type and mode also. Data type I have mentioned all as string only, and mode is also I have mentioned all are nullable. So this is how we need to create the task, guys. This is how we need to create the task. A task is load CSV. If you wanted to give some more name also, task 1. So that is also fine. So the operator it is, this operator is the defines this all of these tasks. And for this operator, we need to provide all of these parameters. One by one, we have to provide it. Task ID, bucket name, source object name, project details and dataset tables, and schema fields, and right disposition. Once you have mentioned it, so that if you have only one task, you can mention the task dependency or not, it's your wish. But when you have a one more task also, you need to use the bit shift operator, and you have to use the task 2 like this. Because once task 1 is completed, then the task 2 will start. That is what it does mean. Okay, so now we have only one task. I am going to leave it like this. Okay, so this is how you have to create the code, guys. This is how you have to create the code. Okay, sir, if assume that I have a one more file also, task 2. I have a one more file. Similarly, I have a one more file that is department.csv. Assume that. Sir, I have a one more file is also there in that particular bucket. Copy this one, the bucket name, I'm going to mention it here. So I'm going to do it as a task 2. I'm going to do it as a task 2 here. And that file name is department.csv. and the data set name is there. Table 2 name I wanted to provide it. The table 2 I wanted to mention it as a department table. Okay, department table. So this is how I have two tasks, task 1 and task 2. So whenever you have a task 1 and task 2, you follow the dependency. Once the task 1 is completed, task 2 you wanted to start it. So this is how whenever you have a two task, you mention the task 1 and you mention the task 2. Okay, now save it. So all the details are there. Let me see here whether we have the departments.csv is there or not. So if it is not there, let me also upload it. Okay, so it is uploaded. So we have here employee CSV file and department.csv file is also there. Okay, so what it will do, if I submit this code, to our DAG folder, automatically it will be running in the scheduler, right? So let me gonna do one thing. So first what I will do, I have saved this file. I will go to my DAG folder. This is my DAG folder, sir. Where you have a Airflow monitoring.py, this is your DAG folder. You can click on upload. You can click on desktop. This is your dag1.py. You can select that one. Okay, you can select that one. So you have here the dag1.py. So that's how you submit it. So that is what we are seeing, right? So we first created, sorry, I think I might have deleted that. Yeah, anyway. So first we created the DAG. First we created the environment and then we created the DAG, and now we have submitted the DAG to the DAG folder so that our Airflow scanner will scan it and it will show it here. Okay, so let us wait for 1 or 2 minutes so that it will scan it, and it will, if you wanted to run it, we can manually run it also. Okay, let us wait for some time so that it will scan it. Okay, so if meanwhile, if you guys have any questions, you can ask me.
So when the new DAG file is created, that Airflow will automatically scans
Scan
that
it.
and everything.
Correct. It will automatically scan it. Whatever there that is there in the DAG folder, it will be scanning it and it will showing up here. Okay.
Sir, usually, what is the timeout for this execution? Like if there is any huge file which we need to read and process it and execute, performing something, like is there any timeout to also set?
I think there will be a timeout. I think it will be there. If it is failed, it is failed, guys. So it doesn't wait for anything. So if it is failed, it's failed. The DAG failed. If for example you have a DAG, so this is the DAG that we have created. Even task 1 or task 2, anything is failed, it's failed. That's it. There's no timeout. Okay, it's failed. It's failed. You can run it one more time. And the next second itself, you can run it one more time. But when you mention retry, so that means we have mentioned here the retry. So retry once, and when we are retrying it, after 5 minutes, we are retrying it. So it's your wish whether you wanted to retry it after 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or 4 minutes. Also, you can mention that. So this is how the retry works. But once it is failed, you can run it all.
So, sir, it depends on hardware also, means in our laptop or any hardware?
No, nothing is required. So automatically it is using the resources to compute your DAG. So it does not use any of our laptop resources. It is the Airflow is a managed service. So you can see here Airflow will be using the resources of that particular environment that we have created. This environment with resources will be used. If you wanted to just create the code, you can create your code in any of the notepad or editor or anywhere. Okay. Yeah. Look at here, guys. The DAG is scanned. See here, it is not transact so far. Click on your DAG. How many tasks we have?
One task.
Only one? Can you guys tell me how many tasks we have?
Task 1, task 2.
Two tasks are there, right? Now you are going to see it here. Task 1 and task 2. Sir, you wanted to see your code, you can go to the code and you'll be able to see the code also here. Okay, here you will be able to see your code. Okay, so a systematic code that you have written, it will be shown up here as well. And now I wanted to run this task, but this task is going to run at tomorrow at 5:30, sir. Today's 5:30 is done already. Tomorrow it is going to be run at 5:30. Okay, but if you don't want it to wait until that time, if you wanted to run it manually, you can run it also. That's also fine. So if you wanted to run it manually, You can run it also. You can click on this play button. So if you click on this play button, trigger that, so it will be running manually now. You can see here, first it is queued. Okay, so you can see here the color coding. And then it is going to be running in next second. Starts running. Okay. So here one task is done successfully. And next task is running. Light green color. It will become the dark green color. That means it will also be successfully run. Let us wait for some time. So both are successful. If you wanted to see the tables in the BigQuery dataset, you can come here and refresh it so that you will be able to see employee table and department table. Both are created. Okay, so this is how the DAG will answer. Okay, so this is how, if you wanted to, with the help of the DAG, with the help of the Airflow, if you wanted to create any DAG, you can able to do that. Even the data proc jobs also, data flow jobs also, you can able to do that. Okay, yeah. Any questions, guys?
This Airflow is nothing but cron job concept in the Linux, right? Like it automatically schedules and maintains that.
We are using the cron job format only here.
Okay.
Scheduling part. Only for scheduling, we are using the cron job format. Okay, but all other framework is a Airflow framework. Okay, yeah.
Sir, before submitting into the pipeline, can I validate this code in the Visual Studio Code, whether syntactically or?
If you wanted to, you mean to say you wanted to check
This
it
code.
whether this
Yeah,
code is
this
running or
code.
not.
Yeah. Usually, we have in development, right? YAML script we can able to validate if
No,
any
you
comma
can
is missing.
export. See, for example, you can
If
import
any,
the, you can install the Airflow here. Pip install Airflow, you can do that, and you can write your code, and you can run it manually, one by one, cell by cell. You can run it, and then you can go for the production. Okay, so that is possible. It's a Python code. You can install the Airflow. You can once installed, you can import all of these things. You can run it one by one. Okay, it will run. You're getting my point, right?
yeah, separate editor kind of you're telling, right?
You can make it as a notebook and you can make it as a cell by cell. First install the Airflow, that is the important. Once you install the Airflow, this entire code, even you run single time also, it will run. Okay.
Line by line in Python, it will take more time, right, to validate. Is there any other way? The
No, you
entire.
can mention debug also if you wanted to see. These are all the Python coding only, right? So you can mention the debug code. You can mention whether this whether this task is failed or this task is failed. So you can mention your debug code and whether it is running, how much time it is taking. All of those things you can mention it and you can debug it. It's all Python. Okay, yeah.
Sir, we need to debug as a separate code, and then only we need to import into the
No,
cloud,
not like
right?
that.
How this development will work, like usually in real time.
Usually also this is the same thing, guys. So usually they will write the code. Okay, they will write the code, and once they have written the code, they will test it manually in the notebook. And once they have tested manually in the notebook, so how we have created the data flow and data proc job, if you remember, guys, data proc job. How I have told you. Similarly, they will write it in the notebook, and they will write it, and they will submit it to the Airflow. So wherever you go, right? So if you wanted to create a Python job, what do you do, sir? You wanted to write a Python code. You will write one line and you test it, and you go for the next line. You test it and you go for the third line. That's what you will write. Here also you can do that. You don't need to do it one by one, sir. I don't wanted to test it, but I am a very good at coding. You write your entire code and submit it. If it is failed, the DAG will fail already. Automatic. So even though you have any error in this particular DAG, it will not run for sure. First thing is that it will not import it to the scanner will not be able to scan it also. Okay, the scheduler will not be able to scan it if you have any error. First thing, and in task wise, if you have any error, the task will fail, and the task will tell you what is your problem with the DAG, and at that particular time, it will also tell you which line it is having the error. You can come to that particular line. So if it is having error here, 36 line, it is having an error. You come to here and you fix it again. You upload it. So that is what you do. Okay. So anything is fine. Okay, it's all Python only, right? So however you wanted to write it, however you wanted to debug it or test it or run it or test cases, everything can be done. Yeah.
Sir, sir, one last question. In the
Yes.
organization, who performs all these tasks, like Google, like a developer or Google data engineer? What do we
No,
call?
data engineer only.
It's data engineer. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes. So all of these tasks will be done by the data engineer only. Yes.
So is there any like a additional steps we need to create when we create pipeline, right? Generally like a vulnerability and then scanning, like steps will be there, right, to execute like this. Is there any steps is there for this?
No, not like that. For the environment, it's already whatever the environment that you are creating, it's a managed environment. You don't get that much of flexibility here.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
So
when
what you are saying is that vulnerability, all of those things are like when you are deploying your own containers, when you're writing your own code, your own virtual machines, right? So that way you will think about whether that is safe or not. But in this case, it's already managed. That flexibility you do not have it here. Yeah.
yeah, I mean the stages like a vulnerability stage,
The
code quality, sonar cube, like that
Those
stages.
things will be taken care. Those things will be. See, this is not about the airflow, right? The code scanning, all of those, it will not come from the airflow. Okay, sir, I have a CI/CD. In my CI, I am going to integrate the task, and while I'm integrate the code. While I'm integrating, I wanted to have some test cases. I wanted to check the whether the code is properly valid, syntactically correct or not, or it is having a bugs in the code. And if you want it, so those things are comes under your CI/CD, guys. Okay, it doesn't worry about the airflow. So plainly, airflow will submit and run it. Before airflow, you wanted to test your code. You wanted to test whether it is perfectly following the regulations or not. So those are comes under the CI and CD. Before CI, sorry, while you are doing the CI, you wanted to run some test cases. You do that. You write your code in the test cases, you run it, and everything will be run. While your deployment, your code will be this particular code will be deployed to your Cloudflow, Airflow. Okay, so that is how the Airflow will work. Okay, it does not worry about the airflow. You don't need to worry about the airflow for test cases, vulnerability, all of those things. You do it in the your CI/CD, so continuous integration, continuous deployment. That's where your things will come into the picture. Let's not combine both of them. Okay.
And then in that case, the airflow cannot be used for this Google Kubernetes engine, right?
So it will be deployed on Kubernetes engine only. It is deployed on Kubernetes engine only. Actually, it is deployed on. See, so that's what I'm telling you, guys. See, if you wanted to manually deploy it, you can do it. Why it's already open source? You can deploy it manually. Why you have to come to the managed service? Okay, internally, what it will do is that it will deploy on Kubernetes only for sure. But when you are using the Airflow, when you are creating an environment, it deploys in the internally there only. No, 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 sir. I will make sure my own environment. I will try to deploy it. It's your wish because it's an open source. Okay.
But we never used it, right? Whenever we created Composer, this GK internally it will taken care this parts and all.
I'm telling you guys, so when you are working in the manager service, you don't worry about it, how you are creating and what you are creating. You provide the configuration, internally it creates it. Okay, so that is what you call it as a managed services or a fully managed or serverless. So that's how the serverless systems like that's where you are going to get a less flexibility when it comes to the infrastructure details. Okay, so that is the reason you are not going to see it. Okay, actually when you are actually doing this environment we are creating, you go and check it out in the airflow. For example, if I go and check it out in the Kubernetes, you will be able to have that particular environment created for the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so that is what it will do. Okay, so if you don't want it to manage it, you don't want the managed environment, you go for the your own one environment. Okay, yeah. Any other questions, anyone? So these are the resources that is creating, right? So you can see here the cluster is created. Okay, if you wanted to click on this, right click on this, then it will directly flag it to the GKE cluster only. So when you are creating an environment, for sure it creates a environment in the GKE only. So this is how your cluster is. This is your cluster name. Okay. So you are in the Kubernetes engine. This is your clusters. Okay, one cluster is created and it is managed by the Kubernetes cluster, and it is a managed environment for the composer. So that is how it manages internally. Okay, it does not ask you, do I have to create it here? Do I have to worry about these things? It does not ask you. You provide the configuration, it will internally create everything. Okay.
And it will be under the same data center only, right, sir? These clusters and all, it
All
will
of
be.
these things, whenever you select one location, all of those things are comes under the same. Yes.
This will be all infrastructure will be created when I am creating composer and
Environment.
selecting the region, right? That Asia something.
So I told you, right? So while we have to creating an environment, when you click on create environment, you have to provide all of those details, right? You are providing all of those details. So that's the reason we have covered the locations concept, guys. If you are not aware of the locations concept, you will not be able to understand why we are selecting this location. Okay. So you go to the GCP locations concept, which I have told you, you will understand more why we have selected the location. What is meant by when we select the location, what happens internally when we select a location, this location. Okay. Yeah. So you provide the configuration here, everything. So this will be creating a Kubernetes cluster. So if you wanted to see, I think in the advanced also, not sure, it is not showing, but once your cluster is created, it is creating the cluster in the Kubernetes only. Okay. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you all. Have a great day, and we'll meet tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Bye-bye. And don't forget to delete your cluster because it's a very costly, because Kubernetes clusters are very costly. So try to delete it so that when you are deleting it internally, it deletes the Kubernetes cluster also. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.